tell us about what your initial reaction was when Kate was telling you about the strange things that were happening in the house?
My instant response was the neighbours, but when I started hearing it myself, I was trying to shrug it off to floorboards, maybe pipes.
Kate, thanks for speaking to us first of all, and I know it is your preference that you would not be on camera. Looking at some of the stuff to do with this particular case, it's fascinating and it's disturbing in equal measure.
Mum, what was that?
Tell us when these occurrences first started.
They started when my daughter, she must have been about 3 months old. There was just a noise over the baby monitor one night. The shushing sound just sounded like a man.
Andy, pipe down, the baby's asleep. You pack it in.
That's when it really first started with the baby monitor. I was mainly in the bathroom. I came out and Kate was walking up the stairs. I was getting told off, saying, well, stop being loud, you're going to wake up the baby. I'm like, what are you on about?
So obviously I ran upstairs, so we obviously both went into the baby's room.
And then obviously darted straight in the room. There was no one there.
Baby was fine, gurgling away, because obviously she had heard something.
What did you do to isolate the baby monitor that you had from external sources so you could attribute it purely to what was happening in that bedroom?
Well, the weird thing is, I tested it over and over again. I actually tested it in different parts of the house to see if there was any interference from the neighbour's house. It was like a semi-detached house. There was an alleyway on one side, which no one could go down. It was a part of the house itself. And then on the other side, the neighbours, when I spoke to them later on, they didn't have even though they had a young child themselves, they didn't have a baby monitor or anything like that.
But the following day, there was a big crashing noise, like something had fallen off the top of the wardrobe.
Mum, what was that?
Andy was in work, there was just me and my boys at the time, and obviously the baby upstairs. So I texted him and said something weird just happened.
No, it's not next door, it's not pipes. There's someone upstairs, I'm telling you.
And he was like, are you sure? You sure that you heard that sound? I said, I heard it and the boys heard it.
The kids are terrified.
Each night then, it just gradually get worse. We'd be lying in bed, you could hear someone walking across the laminate flooring, but you'd know that there was nobody in the house.
As soon as I walked in the house, there was a guy standing at the top of the stairs. This is real. Now, my job is not to frighten people, so the best thing that you can do is say nothing. Kind of like get to know the client, get to know how they feel. And I sat down and started talking to Kate, and I could see they were totally stressed out. Andy's face was just drawn. The house felt heavy.
And what did you find? Did you get the name of an individual?
No, first of all, I just got the feeling that Kate was quite gifted. This is a gift of psychic ability, yeah. And I said, Andy, you have a man in the house. So he brought Kate in. I said, I promise you, by the time I finished here tonight, this house will be clear.
And I was in the kitchen one night and I was preparing tea for the following day, and I could just feel somebody behind me. You know when there's somebody behind you, and I could feel someone breathing on the back of my neck. Turn around quickly and obviously there's nobody there. And there was a laptop left on the kitchen table, and the laptop started to fire up. So it had been totally switched off, and that started to come on its own. Checked the laptop just to make sure it had been switched off, and it wasn't plugged in or anything. So when Andy came home, told him what had happened, and he was like, are you sure it was switched off? I was like, it was definitely switched off.
And what they can do, what a spirit energy can do, it can cloak itself, which means you can't see it, you can't sense it. You're not going to feed off me because I'm not afraid of you, and these people aren't afraid of you anymore either.
Me and the boys were going to watch a film. They were too scared to go upstairs. Then Andy phoned me. So I said to the boys, I'm just going to go into the kitchen and I'm just going to speak to Andy. I'll be back in a minute. And the boys were knocking on the door. I said, I've told you I'm going to be in a minute. Sit down. Eventually, he ended up calling a priest up because I think I didn't know what else to do. I got crucifixes in, crystals in, changed all the light bulbs to white ones. Anyway, we had this priest came in.
Just talk us through that decision. You decided to get a priest in. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you would expect to see in a Hollywood movie, The Exorcist or something.
Yeah.
So what do? You just go to a church, knock on the door and say...
Just phoned him up and I didn't.
How was the priest's initial reaction when you made that?
I think he just found it quite amusing, to be honest with you.
Amusing?
Yeah, I think he came out and just thought we were... I don't know, he didn't believe us. He just had a big grin on his face all the way through that he was in the house. I know he was telling us to go to church, and if we went to church every week, it'd probably go away.
And I just wasn't sold on it. He asked questions, which is fair enough. He looked at me like he just didn't believe anything me or Kate were saying, because it's not in their religion to really believe like in ghosts and stuff like that. It was like they were trying to sell us on the idea of going to church regular. If we were actually more religious people and we went to church every Sunday, stuff like this wouldn't happen again. It was like getting told off, really. And then when he said a prayer to get rid of it, and I was going along with it, and I just thought it didn't feel like nothing was working. And then at the end of his prayer, there was a bit of a bump coming from the ceiling, and that felt like a bit of an indication.
Validating the fact that there is something there, because obviously the priest had this degree of scepticism.
Yeah, I mean, even the priest sort of looked in the direction of the bump, and he shrugged it off, blanked it. I think the freaky thing that happened straight after that was he had an assistant with him. I remember commenting on a picture that Kate had on the wall, a Vetriano painting, and she liked that, for that to later to be removed from the wall by something we still don't know about.
I felt something very heavy, like somebody put their hands on my shoulders. I was like, whoa, hang on a minute, back off. I got the feeling that it was related towards Andy. I think it was actually an uncle at that time that had come through. So then I watched him, and he went round the back, and then he went towards Kate. What I do when I go into a person's house, I always say a prayer for them.
Helen's a psychic medium.
Yes.
Is this some piece of advice somebody said to you to get a psychic in, or...
No, we didn't know what else to do. There's nobody to turn to. There's nobody, because as soon as you phone somebody up and say something's not right in the house, people just seem to think it's funny.
It's like being in, should we say, like a light bulb. I put them in this white light bulb, and that's protection. Bear in mind, they give me no information. I said, I need to go upstairs. And she said that in the boys' bed, in my boys' bedroom, there was like a portal or something where they were able to come through.
This is like spirit
yeah, and to basically close it.
The atmosphere was very, very, very heavy in there, but I didn't tell. I just put my hands like this across the cot. You don't actually touch anything. I got this like static. I said, there's something connected with your baby. Either your baby is going to be very gifted, or your child is, new baby, it's bringing things through.
There's a lot of argument going on as well.
Caused by?
Yeah, I think so, because obviously because I kept saying what was going on in the house, put a lot of pressure and a lot of strain in the house, because Andy was quite sceptical as well of what I was saying.
There's a dark energy in here, and I have got to get rid of this now. I said, it's in your son's room. Anyway, we went into the boys' room. In the corner, it just felt like it was really dark, really black. So I was like, you can come out, because you know I'm going nowhere until you go. I think it's just an energy that they're attracted to, the purity of the energy of the child. For some reason, I heard a voice say, go along the wall. So you kind of like put your hand up the wall, and then beyond a certain point that stops. You bring your hand down again, and then it stops again when you get to near the floor. And I said to Andy, you've got a vortex. We have to shut that door. And the only one that could do that was Andy. I said, you have to do this. I can't do it. You have to do it. I said, so what you have to do, you have to shut the door, imagine that it's closing, put a great big heavy chain on it and lock it. I said, and then you've got to visualise that you're putting that key in and you're throwing the key away. I said, so that cannot be opened. Anyway, he done it, and he said, I can feel like electric shocks. And then I said to him, right, you can shut the door. And he was like, I can shut it. And I said, yes. I said, you have to learn to do this yourself, because if ever you come across this again in another situation, you won't need me. I said, now go away. I said, go back where you come from, because you do not belong here. By then, I'd already blessed the kids, the little girls, the baby's bedroom. So I asked for my angels, my Archangel Gabriel, to come forward, who is always said to be standing on the left-hand side of Christ. And I said, protect this family.
And then the following day, everything seemed to be fine in the house. There was no more banging. The house was just light, like it always had been.
Did you feel as though there was a completely different atmosphere?
Yeah, a totally different atmosphere in the house.
What Kate and Andy experienced in their home was a surprisingly common phenomenon. Their home became a place where two worlds met, the world of the seen and of the unseen. To this day, thanks to a spiritualist medium, the gateway has remained firmly locked.
Who knows that?